California Gymnastics from Harmon Gym on the campus of the University of California in Berkeley, where today the number 18 rated Golden Bears host the number 12 rated Bruins from UCLA. Hello again, I'm John Schrader, and welcome to our gymnastics presentation on Sports Channel. Not only are these two California rivals going at each other, but they're also trying to get themselves placed in the national picture as well. I have the pleasure of working with former Olympian Tracy Talavera, and they really are going after for some standards, not necessarily each other.
Yes, it's very important for the two teams to look good going into the regionals and the nationals. It's good to look good in the eyes of the judges, and they need to psych up a little bit going into those big competitions. So it's good to do good tonight.
UCLA's co-coach Valerie Condos, they're coming off their best performance of the year, 192 points against West Virginia. Not so much worried about the Pac-10, but looking down the road.
Not to regionals. We're pretty much set to go to regionals, and then regionals, last year regionals killed us and took us out of the national championship. But this year, if we can get to regionals with a good seed and then just do the same thing again, we're on the road to nationals.
Through a variety of circumstances, UCLA is dominated by underclassmen, and it's a freshman who's been their most consistent performer.
Yes, Karima Mero has looked good all year. She's been very consistent. She's very strong on the vault, bars, and floor. The coaches tell me that beam is a little inconsistent for her, but I watched her in warm-ups today, and she looked awfully good. So it'll be up to her to see what she does tonight.
California is going to have to take advantage of its depth. Christina Dinkel, one of their outstanding performers, is injured. Pam Burgess, the coach of California, says that they'll take advantage of that depth, and they've had a little bit of help overcoming the injuries.
With our excellent training staff, the injuries are doing fine. Christina Dinkel's not able to compete tonight because of her sprained ankle, but pretty much everybody else is just about up to speed.
Pam Burgess and the rest of the gymnastics world was really impressed with a performance by one of the Cal performers, Cindy Tom, about a month ago.
Yes, Cindy scored a perfect 10 on bars up in Seattle, Washington, and she was very consistent all year on bars, and I've seen her swing before, and she does it very well. So hopefully we'll be able to see that same level of performance tonight.
So it's UCLA and California in women's gymnastics, and it's coming right up. We'll introduce you to the team members for UCLA and Cal, and we'll get started after this.
World-class volleyball featuring the women's national team of the U.S. and China comes to the Cow Palace as the Mizuno Road to Barcelona tour passes through San Francisco. Saturday night, April 4th, see gold medal contenders spike, dive, dig, and block their way to the summer games. See the world's best player, Karen Kemner, in the clash of international titans. If you can't get to Barcelona, come to the Mizuno Volleyball Summit and catch the sport that's spiked with excitement. Get your tickets now. Call Bass.
Seiko's moving in Minnesota. There goes one to center, but Devereaux leaps. He can't get it. Baines hits his third of the night.
Gymnastics on Sports Channel is brought to you by your local cable operator. Cable makes your TV come alive. Now let's go to the public address announcer here in Berkeley for the introduction of the team members. Here's Mike Shapiro.
And now let's meet the visitors from UCLA. A junior from Kalamazoo, Michigan, Holly Bremer. A sophomore from Pittsburgh, California, Trina Camacho. A junior from Coon Rapids, Minnesota, Rhonda Fain. A freshman from Sandy, Utah, Megan Fenton. A junior from Los Gatos, Michelle Hunt. A freshman from Meriden, Connecticut, Karima Mero. A sophomore from Laurel, Maryland, Karen Nelson. A junior from Eden Prairie, Minnesota, Paula Rasmussen. A sophomore from Fullerton, Denise Stott. A junior from Huntington Beach, Amy Thorne. And a junior from Broomfield, Colorado, Carol Ulrich. The co-head coaches of the Bruins are Valerie Condos and Scott Bull. And now, the University of California Golden Bears. A junior from Olney, Maryland, Mimi Goyer. A freshman from Escondido, Cassie Shigioka, and her parents Clifford and Blanche Shigioka. A junior from West Covina, Cindy Tom, and her parents John and Jeanette Tom. A senior from Honolulu, Hawaii, co-captain Kristen Smith, and her parents Peter and Darlene Smith. A freshman from Los Angeles, Leslie Balmer, and her parents Paul and Elizabeth Balmer. A freshman from Willow Grove, Pennsylvania, Jackie Kadish. A senior from Brooklyn, New York, Sigal Casuto. A junior from Harrison, New York, Samantha Orsino. A senior from San Mateo, co-captain Nicole McLeod, and her mother, Jean McLeod. A senior from Sacramento, Ingrid Wirtz, and her parents, Richard and Ursula Wirtz. A junior from Cerritos, Christina Dinkle, and her father, Ernie Dinkle. A senior from New Rochelle, New York, Christy Kaufman. And a senior from Palmdale, Katie McBride. The head coach of the Golden Bears is Pam Burgess. She is assisted by Bruce McGee.
UCLA has finished as high as #2 in the nation. That was several years ago. California, though, has never qualified for the national championships. That has been their goal this year.
It's definitely a goal for them. They want to get into the nationals, and they want to start being on the national scene a little bit more. They have a momentum going right now. Their team is a lot stronger than I've seen it in years. They have a few injuries, but they're able to pull down and get some other kids to fill in. So other years that couldn't have been done. So at least they have a team out there now with injuries.
All right, we'll get started with the competition when we return. The vault and the bars first up next.
Now you can see the Olympics like never before, because now in addition to NBC coverage, you've got the power to choose between the best events on 3 cable.
UCLA are about to do battle in gymnastics. Both coaches, Pam Burgess of Cal and UCLA's co-coach Valerie Condos, along with Scott Bull, consider this a very important meet before next week's Pac-10 and then the Western Regionals, which will be held right here at Berkeley in a couple of weeks. The rotation starts with California on the vault. Jackie Gadish, Ingrid Wirtz, Sigal Casuto, one of the outstanding student athletes in America, Katie McBride, Nicole McLeod, and one of Cal's top all-around athletes, Kristen Smith. On the bars, UCLA's rotation will begin with Trina Camacho, be followed by Paula Rasmussen, Amy Thorne, Megan Fenton, and Karima Merrow, and the only person who is a former Olympian who we'll see here tonight, Rhonda Feng. She was an alternate to the U.S. Olympic team in 1988.
Yeah, Rhonda was an alternate, and she was sort of a cheerleader for the team in '88, and she knows what it's like not to be on the team, so she's definitely going to be there cheering for all her teammates tonight.
We will miss none of the action here. This will not be confusing at all. We certainly hope. The California vaulter will go first, Jackie Kadish, and she will take her 2 vaults, and then we'll go over to the bars routine, and we'll flip-flop back and forth as we go. In the relatively short series history, UCLA has dominated, but Cal hosting that second win at the regionals last year. Here's Jackie Gadish. She's a freshman out of Willow Grove, California. She'll take her 2 vaults.
And Jackie performed a half on, full and half off. It's really interesting because Pam was talking to me earlier, and she said that vaulting was Cal's weakest event, mostly because a lot of the girls do vaults where they twist only and they have no flip, and those vaults have been devalued this year, so they're not worth as much as they were the year before.
On the other hand, what we'll see here right out of the gate is probably a disproportionate scoring at the top, because UCLA is very good on the bars, and so they'll have a pretty good number at the end of this first event, and they'll have an overwhelming lead, we suspect, after this first event. But Jackie Gadish will get another opportunity here. 2 vaults, and they keep the highest score, the first one in 8.8.
And her first vault was really pretty good. It's hard to keep your legs together when you twist, and she did fairly well on that. She had a little trouble on the landing, so let's see if she can fix the landing on this one.
Her best vault this year was a 9.0.
about the same on the landing. She kept straighter, and the step was just forward instead of sideways this time, so it'll probably be a little less of a deduction for her.
Actually, she did an 8.9 the first time, and we'll see how she improved with this one.
See, her feet are together, and that's good. Just one step forward. Not real bad.
Trina Camacho is underway.
And that was a reverse hex. It's a release move. It's one of the harder tricks being performed on bars these days. She's swinging a pretty nice routine. A little bit slow on her swing, but not so bad. And a nice landing on the dismount. And a good job to start UCLA off.
UCLA starts out with Trina Camacho on the bars.
And here you see her getting set for her dismount. A little low, but not bad, and she sticks her landing very well. And the judges remember that kind of thing.
Ingrid Wirtz, who has a personal best of 9.5, which was set last year. The best she's done this year, 9.2. She takes her first vault.
And Ingrid also does one of those twisting vaults that has been devalued. She did a very good job on it. One step at the end, but there again, it has been devalued, so it's not really worth that much. You see her legs split apart in the beginning, but then she gets them back together for the rest of the vault and takes a step on the landing. See her legs split right there, but then they're back together to come off the horse. And a step on the landing. These girls are doing the best they can, having things devalued. They just got devalued in September of this year, so that didn't give them a whole lot of time to get a new vault before the season started.
Wirtz is the oldest member of this California gymnastics team. She's a 22-year-old senior out of Sacramento, and as you might have noticed earlier, her parents are here from Sacramento to see the final home meet, as it were, in her career, although the West Regionals, as we mentioned, will be held here at Berkeley on the 11th of April. An 8.95 on her first effort.
And this time she performed the same vault, except added another half twist on the end of it. So that gives her a little bit higher of a score to start out with, but she took a bigger step on the landing and her legs split more this time. The legs split and twist that time. And actually didn't quite complete the half turn, so it'll be interesting to see what the judges do with that.
So after a 9.75 from Camacho in the first bars routine for UCLA, here's Paula Rasmussen, a 5.5 junior, with a 9.7, her best effort this year on the bars.
And here Paula did a reverse hex, the release move. Again, it's one of the harder tricks being performed. You notice these college gymnasts have learned to clean up their form, meaning their feet stay together, their knees stay straighter. And they've learned that through years of gymnastics. So dismount. One step on the dismount, but not a bad routine at all. I'm sure the coaches and her are very happy with that. Here she is winding up for her dismount. She's ready to land. Has to be happy with that dismount. She stayed on her feet with only one step on the dismount.
Sigal Casuto just finishing her first vault.
And Sigal does another one of the twisting vaults. She twists on and twists off. And these vaults are actually very difficult to stick landings on because you're twisting all the way till you hit the mat.
In fact, she just about twisted a bit too much there and almost missed the...
Yeah, she definitely went off to the side on that one, and that might be what the coach is telling her, how to correct that right now.
Casuto is one of 3 athletes in the country up for the Walter Byers Postgraduate Award. She is a senior out of Brooklyn who has gone through her college career with a 4.0 average in molecular cell biology. A prospective doctor you're looking at there, and after a tough go on her first vault, we'll try and correct it.
Yes, and she's gotten a lot of advice from her coaches about how to fix it up. She actually didn't quite complete the twist, so I don't know if the judges would give her a whole score on that vault or not.
She seems to be preparing herself mentally as much as anything now, trying to come back.
She's just going to try and twist this thing all the way around. Much better vault. She completed the whole twist this time and just a small hop on the landing. Still a little off to the side, but it was a much better vault than the first one.
Take another look at it here.
She's just concentrating on getting that twist turned all the way around. And there she just wants to twist. And she made the landing pretty good. Just one little hop backward. She corrected that well.
Now we go back to the uneven bars to Amy Thorne. She's a junior out of Huntington Beach with a best of 9.75. Paula Rasmussen right before her did a 9.65 in her bars routine.
And that's a different release move than you saw the other two gymnasts from UCLA do. That was called a ganger. And those are very difficult to keep form on, but that time she pulled a little away from the bar and she wasn't able to re-grab it again.
So explain to us now what it costs her, what the opportunity is to do it again, to start over. What's the situation?
It'll be 0.5 of a point for the fall, and she won't repeat the skill again. She'll just get on up right where she left off and go on and finish the rest of her routine.
So they'll just take 0.5 right off the top and she gets to start right from that point.
Yes. And it's a shame because she really performed that beautifully. It was just a little bit too far from the bar for her to grab. Let's see how she can pull this rest of this routine together. And a nice flyaway double pull, and wasn't able to pull that around either. She's a little trouble swinging on bars tonight. And sometimes it's very hard when you miss the major tricks like she did in the beginning, and then to go ahead and finish the routine. Sometimes that just knocks you off and you just are mad about falling in the first place. Just a little short on that scoop up, and she wasn't able to control the landing.
Now up for California on the vault is Katie McBride. She's a senior out of Palmdale. Sigal Casuto did a 9.25 in her second attempt.
And once again, we see another one of those twisting vaults, and again, they're very hard to stick those landings. As I said before, they twist until they hit the mat. And that's the problem with this vault she does. She's twisting and twisting and twisting, and she's still going sideways when she lands. She's unable to hold the landing.
Saw the assistant coach, Scott McGeehee, Bruce McGeehee, get out of the way. And what happens if she comes off the mat and is touched by the coach? Is that a penalty as well?
Well, not really, because hopefully she'll do another vault that's better than that one, so he won't have to deal with that. But he is standing there because I guess that would happen often on this vault. It seems most of the girls are going sideways.
8-9 on the first effort by McBride.
Much better that time. She got more repulsion off of the horse and was able to complete the twist this time and land in the middle of the mat. This is definitely a better effort than the first vault.
And that brings a major smile to her face, too.
Yes. Able to complete the whole twist. I'm sure she's happy about that.
And now stepping up to the bars for UCLA, Megan Fainton. She's a freshman out of Utah who has done 9.85, which is tied for the best on the team this year on the bars.
Megan has a very interesting bar routine. That was a release move, but earlier she did a bunch of swings that go the wrong way. You're normally facing the low, away from the low bar, and she doesn't facing the low bar. It's a very interesting routine, and she swings very tight and straight. It should score pretty well. It's nice to see a different type of routine.
And they're going to need to score big because she's following an Amy Thorne routine that was 8.6.
That was an uprise to handstand and then a giant to a California hop, which you don't see women do very much at all. That was a reverse hack. Very nice. And here comes her dismount. The dismount was a little bit weaker than the rest of the routine, but hopefully the rest of the routine will make up for that dismount.
Nicole McLeod is the 5th competitor for California on the vault, following McBride's
vault to do a non-twisting vault. She did a handspring front, and she did it fairly well. She gets good distance from the horse, lands a little bit low, but it's not bad at all. That's a nice hit on the board. You see her legs split a little bit, and the judges will see that too. And that'll be reflected in the score. And there's a little bit low on the landing. I'm sure Nicole is thinking about the landing on this one. She knows she wants to land a little bit higher than the last one.
An outstanding effort by McLeod. A 9.6, which is her best this year. She came in having done a 9.55 earlier this year.
It was a much better vault this time. Her legs stayed tighter, her board position was better, and she landed it up a lot higher. I'm sure they're very happy with that one. The landing is much higher this time. Very good. And again, her score is going to be a lot higher than her teammates because it's not a twisting vault, it's a flipping vault, which hasn't been devalued, and so it's worth a lot more to start with.
So now the young lady about whom we spoke earlier, Karima Merrow, who has done 9.8 on the bars this year, takes a good running jump at it.
Comes her release move, another reverse act.
Coaches of UCLA talked about how powerful her work is in just about everything.
Yes, and this is a definite elite level bar routine. She has a release move, and then she goes a bail to a handstand, which isn't done too much, and there was a giant blind with a full twist right to another handstand. And a nice dismount. Here comes her release move. She lets go of the bar, and now she's going to catch it again. So you see her hands are away from that bar for quite a long while. And here comes her dismount. Goes way up in the air. That's a nice dismount.
And the man who's passing out all those hugs at the end there is Valerie Kondo's co-head coach. That's Scott Bull.
Karima has to be happy with that one. She knows she put that landing. It was a really beautiful routine. Wow.
Kristen Smith with a very high vault.
That was the same vault that her teammate just did, only in the pike position, which is a lot harder to rotate in. And she gets a lot of distance, and it's a beautiful looking vault. See, she's almost off the mat. She goes so far. That vault should score well.
Kristen Smith did a 9.85 last week at Corvallis against Oregon State. That's one of the judges, and an aggregate 9.75 on that first effort by Smith.
The only thing that could get better on this vault is her landing. She can land and not take a step, which she took last time. About the same on that vault. It's the same step. She lands so far and she just goes right off the mat. But again, that's a very difficult vault, and she does it real well. There you see her hitting the board. And she goes up, and look at her distance. Almost right off the mat.
So that concludes the 6 vaulters for California, and we go back to the final performer on the bars for UCLA. Rhonda Fain has gone 9.85 this year on the bars, and as we mentioned, a former Olympic alternate on the team in 1988.
Yes, Rhonda has always been an exceptional bar performer. There, giant full pirouette to a reverse hack. That's a very hard combination there. Earlier this year, Rhonda was competing a double flipping dismount, but now she does a toe-on half turn with a back. Mostly because she had an injured foot, and it's a lot easier for her to land that. But maybe by national, she'll have the double flyaway back in her routine.
That concludes the first rotation and the second rotation.
And here comes the dismount. Go on, half turn with a backflip.
So that concludes the first rotation. We'll come back and find out Fain's number. She has to follow a 9.90 by her teammate Karima Merrow. We'll return with more from Berkeley after the back, while Cal ends their vault routines with 9.65 and 9.75 from McLeod and Smith. And now the two teams will just switch places. The UCLA competitors will move over to the vault, and California, which is very strong in the bars, will move over there.
Yes, California is definitely stronger on bars than they are on vault. But we have UCLA going over to vault, which they say is their worst event. So we'll see what they can put together over there.
Up and down roller coaster scoring for Cal on the uneven bars. Orsino, Shigioka, Kasuto, Goyer, Smith, and Cindy Tom, who had that 10 last month in Seattle. For UCLA, and there you see a nice look of Valerie Condos, the co-head coach. For the vaulters of the Bruins, Megan Fenton, Holly Bremer, Thorne, Fain, Nelson, and Merrow. Again, Merrow is the person who has the best score heretofore for UCLA on the vault. There's a 3-minute period between rotations so that the teams can do some work, get warmed up, get ready to move on, because there are, of course, several competitors on each team who do the all-around, so they do every event, and of course there are some specialists as well. Nice look at Pam Burgess, who is here in her 7th season as the coach of California. Before she took over as the head coach here, she was coaching several club teams. In fact, she founded a club team in Bozeman, Montana. She's one of the premier judges of competition in the United States, a brevet judge.
Well, it seems that there's a little bit of a discrepancy over on vaulting. You're not supposed to approach a judge on the floor, and it seems that one of the coaches did so. So I think
whom?
I think from UCLA. It seems they were having a little discussion over that. It seems like everything's pretty much worked out right now.
Controversy already.
It's always there in this sport.
We'll have to send our Inside Edition reporter down there and find out what's going on. So now the UCLA vaulters move in, and this is Megan Fenton.
And Megan performed the layout Zook, had a little trouble on the landing. In the air, her body is supposed to be totally straight, and it was a little bit piked. So there'll be a small deduction for that, but all in all, it was a pretty good vault. You can see her body's a little bit piked in the air, whereas it's supposed to be completely straight. But that's up to the judges how much to deduct for that. Again, you can see the body piked just a little bit.
And a 9.3 on that first effort by Fenton, who this year has done a 9.4. She's a 5-foot freshman out of Utah. She also competed just a bit ago in the bars, in which she did a 9.7.
Hopefully we'll get to see the same vault, but in a completely straight body position this time. It was a little better, but the landing was actually a little lower. Because her body was completely laid out that time, her rotation was slowed down, so the landing was a little bit lower. You're a straight body position for much longer than the time before, but then the landing's a little bit lower.
So now we move to California on the uneven parallel bars. Samantha Orsino.
Watching Samantha in warm-up, she had a little trouble with her form, so we'll see if she can keep her legs together on most of her tricks this time. There you saw her legs split a little bit there.
It would be a trick if I did it. It's a
release
routine
move.
if you do it. That's not very amusing at this point
No,
after she falls.
I'm sure she's not too happy about that. That's a different release move than you've seen previously. This is called a Delchev, where she swings up, does a half turn, and then a front flip. And she's supposed to catch the bar, but she's a little bit close, so you see her hands bounce off the bar. And she just can't grab onto it after that.
This is kind of nasty on your wrists, isn't it?
Yep, this sport can be nasty on a lot of your body. Let's see if she can keep this routine going now. She knows she had a fall. She'll have to regain her composure and finish with a nice dismount here. And a laid out Comeniche dismount. It was a nice finish for her. It was too bad she couldn't hold on that one release move.
So we've seen each of the teams now have one of their competitors fall during the bars routine. Thorne did it for UCLA.
That's another layout Sukahara. Again, a little bit piked in her hips, but it was better than her teammates was.
After Fenton's 9-3 on the vault, Holly Bremer now takes over here.
Your body position is much straighter, but right at the end she pikes down. And I'm sure she knows that, and I'm sure she's going to try and keep it straight. It's a little bit difficult because if you feel like you're slipping slow, you want to pike down naturally in order to land on your feet.
These competitors generally will do the same routine twice.
Sometimes they do the same vault twice, or they can choose to do a different vault on the second vault. It just depends. Sometimes it's easier to do the same vault twice, so you can improve on what you did the time before.
A 9.45 on that first effort by Bremer.
Well, her vault was actually a little bit higher, but she piked down a little bit more, causing her to step back because she had too much rotation. You'll see her body position straight, and then she pikes a little bit too much, which causes her to have that step.
After Samantha Orsino's 9.0 routine on the bars, here's 18-year-old freshman Cassie Shigioka from Escondido, California, to do her routine for California. She has gone 9.55 in this event this year.
And Cassie had a nice combination there. She did a giant blind half turn to a front giant. Kept her form very good on front giants. That's difficult to do. Winding up for her dismount. Double tuck flyaway. A little bit low, which caused her to take that step. But all in all, she did a nice routine.
Her teammates are certainly delighted by the performance.
Definitely happy. They know they had one fall already, so they don't want to have another one. Here comes her dismount, a little short of the rotation, but she's able to save it with just one step forward.
Amy Thorne is
And Amy does one of those twisting vaults, which you saw many of the Cal gymnasts do, and she also has trouble with the landings. They're very difficult because they're just twisting until they hit. And sometimes you don't quite know where you are until your feet do hit, and that's too late to save a landing. There goes her trouble with her landing. She's just a little bit too much rotation.
So it's been a tough time here in two events so far for Thorne. Struggled on her bars routine. She has another opportunity here, though, in the vault.
Yes, and I'm sure she knows that. She's going to try and get a little bit more repulsion and not as much rotation this time.
.85 on the first effort.
Better landing this time. She only has one step out of it. And her form was very good in the air. She twisted with her feet pretty close together. And here you can see her feet pretty good together, which is difficult to do, and just one step on the landing. She should be pretty happy with that vault.
Now up for California.
Now Segal Kasuto will be up here. Her best this year is a 9.5. Her best in her career is a 9.55, and she follows Katsi Shigioka's 9.75, which is now a career best for the Cal freshman.
And she's getting set for her release move, a reverse hecht, and she's not able to hang on to that either. The trouble on that came from not having enough rotation. You can see her feet scoop up, but then she's not able to sit her upper body up enough to grab the bar. Now she's going to continue her routine.
Is there a time limit on these bars routines?
No time limit at all. They have to have 11 elements in the routine, at least. But usually there's not many more done than that. And she's able to complete that routine with pretty good composure, good form and everything. But that's a tough break to have a miss on that reverse hecht. Once again, you'll see her hips aren't quite flipped over enough. Oh, this is her dismount.
Which is much better than the previous move.
Definitely, a lot better than a reverse hecht.
Now up for UCLA, Rhonda Payne.
So after that performance by Kasuto, we go to Rhonda Fain, who's done 9.5 in the vault this year. She follows Amy Thorne's 9.10.
And she does a layout Suk a little bit piked down. It's interesting for Rhonda because while she was competing in the Olympics and in the elite level, she did a round-off flip-flop entry vault, which is much different than just the normal running into it. You can see her body piking and arching and then piking down fairly hard. But there again, she's just coming off an ankle injury, so for her to do a vault that well, it's pretty good at this point in time.
So a 9.45 for Fain's first effort.
What Rhonda will want to do on her second vault is hold her laid out position a little bit longer than the last one. She held the laid out position for a little longer, but piked down a little bit, which caused her to have that step afterward.
Young lady from Coon Rapids, Minnesota.
There's her laid out position, but then her pike is a little bit too hard. All in all, it was a fairly good vault.
Mimi Goyer is up here now. She's on 9.75 in this event. She follows Kasuto's 8.9.
And Mimi's another one who competed for quite a few years in the elite level. And so she's a very good competitor, and she knows how to hit her routine. She did a nice hard combination of giant blind full pirouette to a reverse head, which is tough.
You can feel the buildup.
Yes. It was a nice bar routine, a little short on that dismount, but she's a seasoned competitor who knows how to pull it around and land on her feet at least. This is a full pirouette. You can see her hands go around one full time, and then this is a release move. You see her hands grab again. And here's Mimi going for her dismount. She needs to go up a little bit higher than she did, but she's able to save it with just one step forward. And that's what her many years of competition has done for her.
Karen Nelson, a sophomore out of Maryland, is up next in the vault for UCLA.
And there you see a flipping and a twisting vault. She did a handspring front like we've previously seen, but she added a half twist in it. A little bit of trouble on the landing, a couple of steps there. And there's the half twist right there. And there's 2 steps on the landing. I'm sure her coaches told her what to do to fix that.
UCLA has a 9-3 dual mark record. Cal is 9-2. The 3 teams to which UCLA lost this year: number 2 Georgia, number 3 Oregon State, and number 6 Arizona. So if the competition they have faced has any bearing on their national ranking and their ability to compete at a high level, they certainly are doing themselves a favor. A 9.65 on that effort by Nelson, which matches her best this year on the vault.
Yes, and she had quite a lengthy discussion with head coach Scott Bull about her vault, so I hope we see something different this time. Maybe he was just trying to tell her how to fix her landing.
Speaking of the judges and looking at them, there was an inquiry put in on Fenton's score in the first rotation, and that's the reason for the delay of a minute ago. Fenton's score was raised from a 9.7 to a 9.75 on the bars.
And whatever Scott told her worked. She only had one small step on the landing that time, and it was a very clean vault. It was a good job. So you see her front flip, there's her half twist, and one step. Sometimes having 2 tries at vault helps, because you can improve upon what you did the first time.
I'll tell you what, Tracy, this looks a lot easier in slow motion than it does in real speed. Kristen Smith now moves to the uneven parallel bars for the University of California. She's gone 9.775 in her career. And they really need to score big here in the last 2 competitors on the bars.
That was a nice uprise to handstand right to her reverse head. It was a good combination. Flying full pirouette. So culminates dismount. It's a nice routine. Kristen doesn't give away much to the judges. She doesn't lose form, and she doesn't give them a chance to take away points from her. And that's what a gymnast wants to do. Nice reverse hex way above the bar. And we see her getting ready for a dismount. And sticking that landing. Again, giving the judges nothing to take away from her.
A 9.9 career best effort by Smith. And now we move to UCLA and Karima Merrow and her first vault.
She did a handspring front vault, and what happened was she just kicked out a little bit too much. She should have held onto her tuck position a little bit longer.
She looks like she's a little shaken up.
Here's her vault, and then you see her kick out when she should have stayed in the tuck a little bit longer.
Scott Bull, the co-head coach, has been at UCLA for 9 years, took a respite in the late 80s to coach at the University of Georgia for 3 years, but he and Valerie Condos have worked together for a long time. They kind of split their responsibilities. She does a lot of the choreography. She's a former dancer and gymnast, and he does a lot of the technical stuff, is what he says.
And you saw Val looking a little bit worried. She knows she doesn't want to miss out on her top score on this event. It seemed Karima was limping a bit on the walk back from her first vault.
Now she's really hurting. Knee. You could see it at the end of the vault. This would be a major blow to UCLA, their leading all-around competitor, having been injured. Now they're just as healthy as they have been all year, at least until this moment.
Here we see kick out a little bit early. It's possible that she landed on her heels or that she landed with one knee too straight. It seems to be her knee.
So while Karima Merrow is being attended to, Cindy Tom, who against Seattle Pacific this year got a perfect 10 on her bars routine, comes up here following Kristen Smith's career best 9.9.
Yes, and it's hard to repeat after something like a 10 comes along. There's a little bit of pressure added to you after that. Let's see what Cindy can do with this. Nice. Beautiful ganger, good form. She's having no trouble here so far. There's a second release move. Oh. A little bit too far away from the bar and is not able to hold on to that one. You can see her release move. She releases and her hands are a little bit too far. Actually, her hands bounced off the bar a little bit, which happens often with release moves.
Well, she starts right back where she left off.
We'll see if she can finish up after that fall. Nice dismount, just one step.
And you can certainly see the disappointment in her face.
You see her dismount and the one step. But it's a shame because she really had a nice bar routine going, but she showed her form very well, and you could see why if she did hit her routine, she would score a 10 on it.
So Karima Merrow, with tears streaming down her cheeks, is helped off, is assisted off. It's her left knee, from what we can tell, the best we can tell. You can see she's pointing at it right there. Well, the disappointment for Cindy Tom as well. We'll come back and sort it all out after Tom's 9.4. We'll see what Merrow's score was on her first vault and try to add up all the numbers for you when we return to Berkeley after this. California, UCLA, and California in this Pac-10 dual meet. At the end of the first rotation, which was UCLA on the bars and California on the vault, UCLA took a 1.8 lead, 1.80 lead. Cal, despite the worst career performance for Cindy Tom in the bars, cut into that UCLA lead just a bit. UCLA actually has expanded the lead. The numbers I was given aren't compatible with that. 9.615 for UCLA and 9.495 for California. So through the first two, UCLA has a pretty good lead over California. Next we go to the beam and the floor exercise. California will be on the beam and UCLA will do the floor exercise, and they're both doing their last-minute preparation for it. On the balance beam for California, McLeod, Shigeoka, Smith, Kasuto, Goyer, and Tom. And on the floor exercise for UCLA, it'll be Holly Bremer along with Paula Rasmussen, along with Rhonda Fain, Carol Ulrich, Amy Thorne, and Karima Merrow. Now, Karima Merrow was scheduled to do the floor exercise, and she's been replaced by
Bremer?
Denise Stott, who is a sophomore out of Fullerton. There you see Stott will be followed by Bremer, and then Rasmussen, Fain, Ulrich, and Thorne. So.
And that has to be a big blow for UCLA, not only for this competition to lose Merrow, but for the regionals and nationals, which are coming up. Hopefully her knee isn't that bad that it'll last that long. But that is a blow for the UCLA team here.
So it takes a considerable amount of resolve for Valerie Condos to smile at this point. As far as we know, this is still a beam warm-up for California.
Yes, they're still warming up.
Preliminary word on Merrow is that the injury is not serious. She's having it iced down now, and we may know something just a bit later.
Warm-ups for balance beam usually take a little bit longer than the floor because it takes time for the girls to set up their mounts and get off the balance beam and then let the next gymnast go. So that's why beam's taking a little bit longer than the floor exercise did.
Now, the best performance on the floor exercise for Merrow this year was 9.90, and for Stott, the best performance is 9.55. So it could be a considerable factor before this meet is over. California will begin this rotation on the beam. Nicole McLeod, who has done a 9.5 on the beam this year. is first.
And Coach Burgess has told me that beam is their most consistent of all their events. And beam can often make or break a gymnastics meet. So if this team can get going on beam, maybe they can lessen the lead that UCLA has on them right now. She seems to be doing fairly well. She had one slight wobble. There's another little wobble, but she recovers pretty well.
The lowest performance of any of the Cal team members at 9.5. All of the others who will compete in this have had a score of higher than 9.5 this year.
Yes, but often the first competitor does have the lowest score, but if she can get up there and hit her routine, that encourages the rest of her teammates to do the same. So she's sort of the leadoff person here. She sets the tone for the event.
And you set the standards high enough, and the rest oftentimes follow accordingly.
Yes, and she's doing a fairly good job at this point. She moves her routine real well. Here comes a big trick right here. Side aerial. No problem with that. She's very sure of herself up there. Here comes her dismount. A full. She does a good job at setting the tone for this event for the Cal team. This is her flip-flop, done in the beginning of her routine. A little bit of knee bend, but she has no wobble. Her side aerial, very solid. And that's pretty much what her routine was, very solid. She did a good job. The rest of her team can follow suit. They'll look good on this event.
So McLeod finishes her routine on the beam, and now here's the young lady with a little pressure on her. Denise Stott, a sophomore out of Fullerton, California, has stepped in to replace the injured Karima Merrow.
And that's a tough position to be in if she didn't think she was going to compete this event, and now she's in it.
She hit her head on the table.
A good try to stay on her feet. She tried to fight that momentum she had going backwards. Wasn't able to do it. Seems to be doing all right now. Let's just see if she can get through the rest of her team. Good middle tumbling pass. She's recovered well from that fall.
How much time do they do on the routine?
The floor routine can be between 1 minute and 10 seconds and 1 minute and 30. Mostly the gymnasts like to keep it a little short, if anything, because it's hard to get through a whole routine. But they also have certain elements that they have to put in their routine, so it takes usually closer to 1 minute 25 or 1 minute 30.
Now, big finish.
Last towing pass, a double twist, done nicely. She did a good job recovering from that fall. She did hit the judges' table, and that had to shake her up quite a bit, but she did a good job recovering from that.
After which, the judges are now moving the table.
It's probably a real good idea. Here she goes. She's just flipping backwards a little too much. She tries to save it, but just can't quite do it. Hits that
Actually hit her
table.
face right on the table.
She hit it quite hard.
She gets the...
But this is her last tumbling pass, and she does it very nicely.
So Denise Stott gets the first Courage Award of the night, stepping in and then having a tough beginning and recovered. As they add up the scores, we move over to the routine of Cassie Shigioka, who has done 9.6 on the beam this year.
She had a nice mount. Beautiful handstand to a split scale. Kick over layout done very nicely, right to a split jump, which is a gym acro series, which is something that is required in the routine.
She's following a McLeod routine that did 9.4 according to the judges.
Ooh, had a little trouble on that flip-flop. I think something was supposed to follow that, but it was crooked, and she knew she couldn't do it. Yes, that was her series that she was supposed to do the first time. 2 pike jumps done very nicely. side flip. It's hard to land sideways on that beam. It's only 4 inches wide, and if you're a little forward or backward, it means you're going to have a wobble or fall off the beam. She did a good job of that.
She's a former national junior Olympian from her last 2 years in high school, who as an 18-year-old has become a major part of this California gymnastics team.
She's doing a real good job on this routine so far. She's moving it well. Beautiful split leap, good side leap. She's very flexible and real powerful. She jumps real good. And a full twisting dismount. This is her kickover layout. Form was very good, right to a split jump. Done very nicely. And here comes her dismount. Her dismount could have been up a little bit higher, but all in all, it's done very nicely. Tried to cover the ending a little bit.
Now up for UCLA.
Now here's Holly Bremer, who has done 9.6 in the floor exercise. Denise Stott, a 9.0 according to the judges, and the first floor exercise for UCLA.
It's a double tuck. Couple steps out of it. But sometimes that's a little flustering after her teammate just went and then went out of bounds and hit the judge's table. But she did a good job of staying on her feet. And you hear the crowd getting into this floor routine with her, and that's always helpful for the athlete. A little boost of energy there. A whip back through to a full for her middle pass. She's doing a real good job of showing off this floor routine here. Nice scissor leap. Actually, it was a ring jump, which means her foot touched her head on that. Pass. Double twist, a little short, but she covered up with just one little step forward.
So Holly Bremer, a nice comeback routine for UCLA, the second of the 6 competitors on the floor routine.
Here's Holly on her first towing pass. Double tuck. A little bit over-rotated, just like her teammate, but she saves it a little better this time. Now here's her last pass, which is a little under-rotated, but she can save it with one step forward. Good comeback for the UCLA team now.
Now up for California on beam, Kristen Smith.
Kristen Smith is up now, the third of the Cal competitors on the beam. Shigioka did a 9.6, and before her, McLeod, a 9.4.
Kristen started off with a nice mount, got herself up on the beam, no wobbles. Showing some flexibility here. Getting set for a big trick. Cartwheel swing through layout. That's a very difficult trick. She did very well on it.
The little music in the background and absolute concentration, which I suppose is not always easy.
Well, sometimes it's nice the athletes ask for music to be playing, because when you're in the gym, usually a radio is on or what have you, and you're used to it. A lot of times in competition, if nothing's going on, you can hear yourself breathing, and that flusters you a little bit. So sometimes they like this music to be going on in the background. And it seems she likes it because she's doing an awfully good job up here.
Sort of simulate your practice routine, because that's really what you're trying to do under these conditions is
Exactly.
simulate what you do in practice.
Exactly. And a double twist dismount, one step. Kristen does a real nice job on that beam routine there. Here's Kristen's cartwheel layout. It's very difficult because it has a half turn here, and then she swings her leg through and does a flip. And it's very easy to get sideways on either of those two tricks. And then putting them together, great job. Here's her dismount. Up in the air. A little bit too much rotation and a step backward.
So a couple of developments here to discuss on this rotation. Holly Bremer tied a career best with a 9.7 on the floor exercise for UCLA. Nicole McLeod's 9.4 is under an inquiry now, and we'll see what that's all about as Paula Rasmussen comes up here to do her floor routine for UCLA.
With a double back, but in a pike position. Her teammates have done tucks so far, but she did it in a pike position, which is a lot more difficult to flip in. Moving into her second tumbling pass. That was a 1.5 twisting full, but she over-rotated a little bit and missed her feet on the ground. I'm not sure if she's supposed to do more tumbling out of it or if she just sort of stopped and left it at the round-off straddle jump.
See, we don't know that she sort of stopped, but the judges probably suspect that something happened.
Yeah, I'm sure they suspect it because they could tell she missed her feet. And a full twist for her ending. It was a nice routine. And although she did miss her feet on that middle tumbling pass, you can't really deduct for what you think she maybe should have done out of it. It's possible she did plan that.
This is a young lady who didn't compete at all last
There's
year.
Her double
had
pike.
Back surgery. She had corrective back surgery done in the off season and is just back at full swing.
Now here's her middle tumbling pass. Let's see if we can see her feet miss a little bit. See, her back foot missed a lot, and then she slammed down onto her hands a little bit too fast for her. But she recovered very well from it.
Now for California on beam, Segal Casuto.
Earlier this year, Rasmussen did a 9.7 in the floor exercise, which was much better than any career performance she had in the floor exercise. Following Kristen Smith's 9.60 in the beam, here is Segal Casuto. And you'd have to consider this her specialty.
Well, the mount she just did was something you don't see very much. She stood with her back to the beam and then jumped vaults over it. And you don't see that too much. Interesting. Back handspring with one arm, a little trouble, but she corrects it. A little wobble, but it could have been a fall, so she's very good at saving that. Jump full turn. Very difficult. Again, she does that sideways, and that's harder than facing the long way on the beam. Showing some strength and flexibility at the same time there. Very nice. You can tell a very good beam worker when you start watching the routine and you forget that they're actually up there on the beam. And Segal does a good job of that. Here comes her dismount. A full twist. Good landing. Here's her back handspring, two hands on that first one, and one hand, she gets a little off balance, but she's able to save it.
So a nice performance by a doctor-to-be for the University of California, Sigal Casuto. Uneven bar scores. Rhonda Fain, Kristen Smith, and Karima Merrill with 9.9s, and Mimi Goyer and Cassie Shigioka with 9.75. So those are the numbers for the best performances individually on the bars. This is Rhonda Fain for UCLA, following Rasmussen's 9.65.
A little trouble on her landing. She started out her double back in a pike position and then went to the tuck position, but landed with her legs a little bit straight, so she bounced just a little bit. It's interesting to see Rhonda with choreography like this. Valerie Condos does this type of stuff, and I've never seen Rhonda actually dance, and it's fun to see her do this. Full and a half twist to a punch front. Not quite able to stay on her feet, though. Getting ready for her last homing pass. Double twist. Good landing on that.
There's a young lady who trained for 3.5 years with the famous Bella Caroli.
Now here we see Rhonda going for her middle pass. It'll be a full and a half twist directly to a punch front. There's a full and a half twist, but she rotated a little too far, so the punch going into the front was a little bit off, and she wasn't able to save that one.
Well, a minute ago we checked the bars performances. Nelson and Smith did 9.75s in the vault. McLeod, Fain, and Bremer 3.45 in the individual performances on the vault. So now Mimi Goyer on the beam, following a 9.7 on this event from Sigal Casuto for California. Goyer has done 9.75 this year.
And Mimi just started off with a very difficult mount. She does a round off onto the board and then a flip-flop up onto the beam. Uh-oh. Round off onto the beam and a layout onto the beam was very crooked that time for her. But Mimi has been competing so long, she should be able to pull out of this. Oh, a little more trouble for Mimi. She's a little off on beam today, it looks like. Good flexibility. Side aerial, that was hit very nicely. Those neck and shoulder rolls became very popular after Daniela Silovash from Romania started it. A lot of the kids started putting them in their beam routines. Oh, another fall for Mimi. Some days are just like this on beam. Some days you're just a little off, and then every single thing you do is a little off.
I think you mentioned a little while ago that it can make you or break you, the beam, and so far Goyer's 3 falls are going to be a major factor in this meet.
Yes. Well, that helps a lot to be able to drop one score. The 6 compete, but you get to drop one score out, and I'm sure for Berkeley that'll be Mimi's today. It's too bad.
Take that to the bank.
It's too bad because Mimi is a very good competitor usually, and she has very good presentation. It's just I guess today was not her day on beam. She started off real well. Here's her round off onto the board, flip-flop up onto the beam, and she started off well.
And I'm sure she'd rather not we show any of the rest of it, so we won't. Carol Ulrich is now up for UCLA, junior out of Broomfield, Colorado. She follows Fain's 9.7 in this 4 exercise.
And you can hear her teammates cheering for her in the background. Her first tumbling pass, a double pike, and she goes out of bounds too. It seems UCLA is having a little bit of trouble with over-rotating things today.
And going out of bounds costs you what?
If 1 foot goes out of bounds, it's 1/10. If 2 feet go out, it's 2/10.
And even if you inadvertently step on the line during any time, is that a 10th as well?
Yes, at any time of the routine that you go out behind the tape, it's a 10th. Carol's very strong, a very good jumper and leaper. And she has a definite presence out on the floor. And that's really good for the scores, because judges like that. And a full punch front to her stomach. A nice performance by Carol Ulrich.
It's interesting to watch Valerie Kondos during every routine. She nervously flinches and looks around. And
sure, after that her first competitor up went out of bounds and hit the judge's television. She didn't want that to happen again. But there, Carol goes out of bounds, but there's no judge to hit in this time. And here's her last pass. Double twist. No, full to a 1 1/4 front to her stomach. Those are very in gymnastics these days. It used to be you just landed all your tumbling on your feet, but now they're over-rotating to their chest, which gives them a little bit more credit.
Cindy Tom now, who owns the school record in this beam event, following a 9.8 on the floor for Ulrich.
Cindy just started with a difficult mount. It was a piked press to a handstand, and pressing in the pike position is very difficult, right to a plunge. Showed a lot of strength on that mount. Back handspring layout. It's hard to tell from this angle, but I'm sure she was crooked on that to begin with.
Well, we saw Goyer fall 3 times and ended up getting an 8.05.
That was a 3-leap series done very well by Cindy.
Difficult thing, I suspect, after you fall is to tell yourself not to be conservative the rest of the way out. Just keep doing your routine.
That's true. One of 2 things can happen. It can either calm you down, you think, okay, I fell, I got that over with, now I'll do good, or it can make you a little bit more nervous and shake you up. Cindy seems to be doing fairly well, though, so hopefully she's calm. Her dismount, a full twist. It's really too bad because Berkeley has some nice tricks in their beam routines, but they're just having a little bit of trouble today. And here's Cindy's mount. She does a piked press, and to get those feet past the beam right here, you have to be real strong to do. Now here's her flip-flop layout. It's hard to tell, but she was obviously real crooked because she couldn't even put her second foot down on the beam.
So a tough time for Tom, and the final Bruin competitor on the floor routine is Amy Thorne. They have some pretty decent scores, UCLA, in this 9.8 and a couple of 9.7s and a 9.65. Tom ended up getting a 9.35 on that beam performance.
And does a double tuck, lands really close to the corner also. A little bit of personality coming out in this floor team.
Playing to the crowd, but hoping to impress the judges.
Definitely hoping to impress the judges. Sometimes if the judges see the gymnast is having fun, it's easier to be a little more lenient on them. Punch front, the handspring laid out front with a half twist for her middle pass. A triple turn, a little bit less than triple, but no major deductions on that. Again, there's another one of those right to the stomach. Amy definitely had fun with that routine. She played to the crowd, she played to the judges. She did a good job.
A little bit of artsy personality here.
Here's Amy going to her stomach on her gym acro, a round off straddle jump to her stomach, which, as I said before, a lot of gymnasts are incorporating in their routine.
So we've completed now the rotation that included UCLA's floor and Cal's beam. We'll come back with more from Harmon Gym in Berkeley after this. Official event. UCLA and California in this Pac-10 gymnastics meet. And UCLA with the lead after 3 events, 144.90, and California 142.60. As far as we know, those numbers are still unofficial. There was an inquiry going on, and to the best of our knowledge, that is still unofficial. But difficult time on the beam for California. UCLA on the beam. It'll be Fain, Hunt, Thorne, Ulrich, and Holly Bremer filling in for the injured Karima Merrow and Paula Rasmussen. On the floor exercise for the University of California, it'll be Christy Kaufman, followed by Shigioka, Kasuto, McLeod, Goyer, and Smith. This is a pretty good event for California. They have 2 competitors, Goyer and Smith, who have done 9.85, and they both did that last week, setting school records in this event against Oregon State in Corvallis. There again is Karima Merrow, who injured her left knee on the vault and has been out of this competition since.
I'm sure it's really hard for her to sit there and watch her teammates, knowing that they're doing the competing and she's injured now. I'm sure she's thinking about the Pac-10s and the regionals that are coming up also.
We'll have more college gymnastics next week as the Pac-10 Women's Championships from Arizona airs on Sports Channel on Sunday, March 29th at 6 p.m. Check your local listings for Pac-10 Women's Gymnastics right here on Sports Channel. Now UCLA will begin this rotation on the beam. Rhonda Fain, who's done a 9.65 this year.
And if you want to start with anybody, it would be Rhonda. She's usually very solid on the balance beam.
If you want to look at some all-around numbers, Fain has done 9.9 on the bars. She did a 9.55 on the vault and did a 9.7 on the floor.
And she did start them off very nicely. 2 back handsprings to a layout, stuck solidly. Nice turning tuck jump. A very difficult thing to turn and land back on one foot, but she did a good job of it. It's always nice for the team to see their first competitor go up and hit solidly. That helps them, and they think they can do the same thing. Front aerial, very solid again. Getting ready for her dismount. Double twist, stuck. It's a beautiful routine. That's the way a team wants to start out. And Valerie's very happy with that too. Front aerial. And those are hard because you don't see the beam. You don't see those front aerials done too much either. And then she went straight into a flip-flop. And here's her dismount. Right up in the air. Stuck landing.
So Rhonda Fain gets UCLA started nicely on this rotation. Now we go to California's floor exercise. First up for the Bears is Christy Kaufman. She's a senior out of New Rochelle, New York, who has done a 9.4 on the floor this year, which is her career best.
And Christy is a very strong tumbler and a jumper, as you just saw there. And here her teammates yelling for her. Double tuck. Stuck very well. Double turn to a jump, double turn to a stag jump. That's hard. If you're a little off on one, it throws the whole sequence off. Round up the full twist. A little weak on that middle pass. Last pass, a whip back, through to a full. A little low on that last pass, but she showed the rest of this routine very nicely. 2 butterflies in a row. Christy was able to show off that routine really well. A little low on the last tumbling pass. Here's her first tumbling pass. The double tuck. Lands and keeps her feet in bounds, which was very difficult because she was pretty close to the going out of bounds. Her last pass, it's a little bit sloppy on this last pass. She's tired. It's the end of the routine. A little low on the landing.
So now on the balance beam, a Northern California native, Michelle Hunt from Los Gatos. You see the brace on her knee, the remnants of major knee surgery in the off-season. And she's competing on the beam only tonight.
It's good to see Michelle back in competition after having such a big surgery not too long ago. It's a hard thing to get back in the swing of things after a big injury like that. Just to get in shape is hard enough, but then to start competing, that's a different story. But she seems pretty confident. She looked good in warm-ups. 2 back handsprings to a layout. Very nicely done. Didn't seem like her knee bothered her on that at all. Georgette, which is a difficult dance element to do on the beam. It's easy to kick your legs one way or the other, but she had a little wobble, but stayed on the beam. Moving very well through this routine. And a kick over off the side with a full twist. She did a great job, and if that's coming off of an injury, you couldn't really tell.
So a nice round of applause from the Cal fans for the performance by Michelle Hunt.
So this is her 2 back handsprings into a layout, and she's got to use that knee on that a lot. And she lands on her bad knee solidly. That's nice to see. And here's her dismount. A kick over off the side, tuck position with a full twist. You can tell she favors that on the landing a little bit.
A nice big smile from Michelle Hunt. That followed a 9.65 by Rhonda Fain on the beam. Christy Kaufman, a career best 9.65 for the first floor exercise for Cal. And now here's the freshman Shigeoka for California.
And Cassie has real strong tumbling. And here she goes. Go back in the tuck position. Landed it very well, not even close to going out of bounds on that one. And you can tell she puts a little less expression in her floor routine as she saw some of her older teammates do. But I think that's something they learn in the college experience, to express themselves a little bit more on dance. Good leap, good jump. And there you see again, another thing to the stomach. Definitely a fad in gymnastics these days. Front to a full for her last pass. She was supposed to bounce out of that full twist, but she bounced a little bit too far forward.
Shigeoka, who has done a 9.75 this year, gets a nice big hug and a smile from Coach McGehee.
And here's her first towing pass, and she lands it real clean. Nowhere's near the corner, so she's not going to step out of bounds. Lands it to a lunge position. Done very nicely. And here's her last pass. Punch front, through to a full twist. And she bounces out a little strangely. She was a little off there, but then she continues on. A bit of small deduction, but not too much.
And it's a new career best for Shigeoka in her young career, a 9.8, which will help the Cal cause considerably. Amy Thorne is next up on the beam for UCLA. Gets everybody's attention with that, and then almost falls off.
Well, she grabbed the beam a little bit, and I'm not sure if the judges could see that from where they were sitting or not, because she grabbed behind the beam, and I don't think they could see that. But there, they definitely saw that. She was real crooked on that, and she tried to save it, but she was so crooked, there's no way she could hold on to it.
This has been a very difficult night for Thorne. She fell the bars and got an 8.6. She had a very difficult time with the vault and did a 9.1, although that was just about her career best.
She had a little trouble on her one trick on beam there, but she just did a double turn that was real nice. Had a little wobble, but double turns are hard to do on a balance beam. You don't see them done too much.
While we're mentioning those lower scores, we should remind that she did a 9.9 in her floor exercise, which was outstanding.
That was a cartwheel, kick over, layout to a full twist, dismount. And you don't see those too much. It's kind of interesting to see a dismount done off the side instead of off the end. And here she is. You can see she's a little crooked here. Hits the beam and just knocks herself right off the side. Sometimes if you're crooked enough, there's nothing you can do to save it. And here's her dismount, going right off the side of the beam. One step. Not bad, though.
Now on the floor exercise for California, Segal Kasuto. Young lady out of Brooklyn. following a 9.65 and a 9.80 in the 2 previous Cal competitors.
Now Segal presents herself very well. Nice triple turn done right there. Those are hard. The double turn's hard on beam, a triple's hard on floor.
Very expressive face, too. She's learned a lot of tricks along the way.
A double turn to another double turn to a scale, which means she was on balance. You can't fall out of that into a scale. She has very good dance, very good turning ability, and she shows things off real well. Oh, full to a punch front and just can't punch hard enough. Flip that whole front over. Jump full turn, bounce straight to a handstand double pirouette.
Well, if anything, with this routine, we've seen some things that we haven't seen heretofore.
No, we haven't. We haven't seen a lot of turning. She's a little weak in her tumbling, and I think all those turns and the jumps cover that up, but she couldn't cover up her middle pass. And here's her triple turn. You count on 1, 2, 3. She goes down on her heel a little bit, but it's still a triple turn. Now here's a jump double turn, bounce straight to a handstand, double pirouette in the straddle position. And if she hooked those two things together, you know she's got some balance in her.
That's not the kind of thing you see every day. So Casuto. Now Carol Ulrich up for UCLA. She's done 9.8 on the beam this year.
She had a beautiful mount. It was just a step on, but she split her legs very well. It's a relatively simple mount to get her up on the beam, but she added a little flair by splitting her legs. Back handspring layout. She was crooked, but she saved that one. Jumps very well. 4 jumps all hooked together. Back tuck, open out to a chest roll. Those are hard.
This all looks hard to me, Tracy.
Carol's done her hard tricks very well, but has little tiny wobbles here and there on simple half turns and poses and such. And a kick over, tuck pull off the side. Very nice beam routine.
Carol Ulrich finishing that routine.
This is Carol's dismount. The tuck pull off the side, which you don't see very often. And stuck to her landing.
Nicole McLeod steps onto the floor for California. She's done 9.6 in the exercise. She follows a 9.20 by Casuto. A little disappointing for Segal.
Handspring, front with a full twist. And there you see, down in the chest again. invented by Elena Shushinova of the Soviet Union. And it's even called that if you do it out of a round-off, and many kids are starting to do that. And actually, it's worth more. It gives you what they call a bonus point. Last line pass, front through to a full. Very good front tumbler.
So Pam Burgess with a nice big smile for Nicole McLeod. And
okay, here's your second tumbling pass. Handspring step out, handspring front, and a quarter through to her stomach. She pushes up. And it's the last tumbling pass. A punch front through to a full. She did a lot of front tumbling in their team, but she did it well, so that's okay. They're allowed to do that.
Now up for the Bruins, Holly Bremer.
Holly Bremer up now for UCLA. These two teams, Cal and UCLA, 2 of 6 Pac-10 teams that are in the top 20 in the national rankings. Oregon State, Arizona, and Stanford also among the top 20 women's gymnastics teams in the country. Bremer here filling in for the injured Karima Merrow.
And that's a tough spot to be in. You have to remember, she probably didn't think she was competing this event tonight. And then when Karima got injured, she was put in the lineup.
Merrow made it to 2 events. She did a 9.9 in the bars and then a 9.15 on which she was injured on the vault, and Bremer having some trouble on the beam.
You saw her do a back handspring, back layout, and she got a little tucked up in the air, and I don't know if she knew she was crooked or not, but she was and wasn't able to stay on the beam because of it. Everybody's having a little bit of trouble on the beam today. And as I said before, beam is a make it or break it event. If the whole team can hit, it can really help your team score. If the team has trouble, you're in trouble. Split jump to a flip-flop, that's another required element. Some type of dance movement to a gymnastics type element.
So far on the beam, UCLA has a reasonably low score of a 9.0 from Amy Thorne.
Dismount, double twist, only 1 step. It's actually a very nice high dismount, but she did have that earlier trouble on her flip-flop layout.
Bremer gets a hug from Ulrich. Ulrich did a 9.8 on her.
You see her flip-flop, and she gets a little tucked up in the air and just can't stay on the beam because she's too crooked. That's a tough feeling if you know you're crooked in the air. There's not much you can do, and when you land, you can't save it. There's her split jump, right to her back handspring.
Okay? Yeah, just wait a minute.
So that's the 5th of the 6 beam routines for UCLA. Mimi Goyer, who last week did a 9.85 in her floor exercise routine, is out here now for California.
And Mimi usually has very clean tumbling, but her dance is what sets her apart from everyone else. Good presentation and very clean on it. Lots of feeling in this routine. And a triple turn with a little hop, probably 1/10 of a point deduction on that. Double tuck, no deduction on that landing. Nice leaps by Mimi also. Mimi doesn't give things away. She's a little off, she fixes it right away. Run through to a full for her middle pass. A lot of expression in Mimi's face. Not the hardest tumbling in the world, but what she does clean.
Goyer, along with Kristen Smith, the school record holders in this event at 9.85, giving that one a run for its money tonight.
Here's Mimi's first tumbling pass. Round off, flip-flop, double tuck. A little low on the landing, but she steps back and saves it. No deductions. And here's her last pass. The whip back, flip-flop, flip-flop, full. Again, not the hardest tumbling we've seen today, but gosh, her dance is beautiful, and it sure makes up for that.
So following Holly Bremer's 8.70 on the beam, here's Paula Rasmussen, who has done 9.8. She is the last of the 6 competitors for UCLA in this event.
Well, according to the coaches, Paula is their most consistent and best performer on beam. So let's see if she can show us that in this routine here. A little wobble, but she pulls it out and goes right to her next jump. One arm flip-flop, play out, and she's crooked too. Can't hold on to it. It's been a tough night on beam tonight for everybody, really. There's a tour jeté, which we saw earlier. She does that very nicely. Front aerial, which we saw earlier, right into a jump. That's hard to connect a gymnastics move like a front aerial into a jump because a front aerial is blind. And a full twisting dismount, one step on the dismount. She was trying to save it, so she had none, but she took one.
So the numbers now are adding up rather interestingly after a difficult time on the beam for UCLA, following a difficult time on the beam for California.
This is her one-arm flip-flop layout, and you can see she's almost diagonal to the balance beam, and there's no way you can save something like that.
And
here
that
we
brings
have
us
her front aerial right into a jump. That's hard, but she does it nicely.
And that brings us to the final competitor in the floor exercise. Kristen Smith, who along with Goyer did that 9.85 school record at Corvallis last week. Goyer did a 9.75 here this evening.
And like Mimi, Kristen has very good presentation and she has good tumbling. And when you have the combination put together for floor, that's why she's last. Here she goes, round off the flip, double pike. Lands that, a little trouble on the landing, but in the air it was very nice. Double turn in the arabesque position. Ring jump. Handspring, front with a full to round off straddle jump. Kristen's a very good jumper, and she's flexible, so she can show her splits in the air. When they're way up there in the air and split well, it looks really nice. Double twist, good landing. And that's the way a team wants to end, with a nice, solid performance like the one Kristen just gave.
It's been a good night for Kristen Smith. She's performed pretty well in all of her events this evening. She is the final competitor.
And here you see Kristen on her first tumbling pass. It's double back. Nice position in the air. A little bit over-rotated. But it's just one step, and that's not that big of a deal. And here's her last pass. Double twist, landed nicely, completely in control.
We'll take a look at the numbers on Kristen Smith's performance and add up the team totals and tell you all about it when we come back. Cable, make sure TV come alive. Well, when all the numbers were added up here, UCLA just a little bit better than California, but as both coaches told us earlier, they wanted to score well, and neither could be displeased at all. UCLA over 192 points, and California a school record 191.45 points. John Schrader and Tracy Talavera back with you, and we talked about the beam being an important rotation. It looked like California was going to really stumble, but they recovered from that.
Well, the thing is, on the balance beam, both of the teams stumbled a lot tonight. So in order to make a better accomplishment at regionals and nationals, it's going to be looking at the beam to be more consistent.
Let's take a look at the individual numbers. The balance beam, Carol Ulrich with a 9.8, and Smith and Casuto of California 9.7. The final numbers on the floor exercise, a nice 9.9 for Amy Thorne, and Kristen Smith ties her school record with the 9.85. In fact, Kristen Smith is the new record holder in the all-around, and she's standing by on a very emotional night with Tracy.
I'm here with Kristen Smith. You guys had a little bit of trouble today. Some of your teammates had problems, but you managed to put it all together and set a school record. How did you feel about your performance today?
I'm pretty excited about my performance. I figure one of my last home meets ever, and I've only got 3 more opportunities to hit my routines, and so that was my goal, so I'm very pleased.
You were thinking that this was your last meet and you wanted to do a good job, and you did. What do you think you need to do as an individual to be up in the ranks in regionals or nationals?
I need to stick my vault. I need to be able to show off my beam routine, and just stick all my landings. I think that's really important when it comes down to the 10s here and there. So.
What about your team going into regionals and nationals? What do you think your team needs to do to put together a top-level performance?
Well, tonight was the beginning, and a 191.45 is a record, and we couldn't be more happier. And 2 more to go. Hopefully be able to do the same thing and be at the NC2A.
Right. Now, if you guys hit beam, you'll be a lot higher up. When you were on beam yourself, you knew your teammates had trouble. Was that adding any pressure to you?
Well, actually, the 2 girls before me had hit pretty solid routines. So I just figured, you know, I've got this one opportunity, and I've had a little trouble on beam in the past. It's been my nemesis, so I really needed to get out there and prove it to myself that I could stay on the beam and be confident.
Well, you did a great job tonight. Congratulations. John?
Okay, Tracy, thank you. And now Pam Burgess, the coach of California, is with us. And a couple things struck me here. As you set the team record with over 191 points, a rarity, Cindy Tom falls from the bars, and you have difficulty with the beams, or that might have been a number through the roof.
Right, that's true. And I think that if we wouldn't have had to count the fall we had to count on beam or the fall we had to count on bars, we would have beat UCLA.
Yeah, there you go. Generally, are these the kind of numbers that you needed to put on the board?
Right, they are. I think in order to be a consistent team and be in the top 12 to go to nationals, yes.
Overall, let's talk a little bit about Kristen Smith's performance, because you needed her to come through on 2 or 3 of the rotations, and she came up with a performance that was, well, sort of team-saving.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome.
You're going to miss her, aren't you?
Yes, we are, very definitely.
It was an emotional night for the seniors here, their final official performance. Some of them will be here, well, you hope for the, you'll be here for the regionals in April, but it was an emotional night for you too?
Well, it is, because this is the first time that we've had a graduating class that's been this talented and brought this much to the team, and so yes, it was emotional for me also.
You guys set the team goal this year to go to the nationals. Is this one more step on that road?
Yes, it is.
All right, well, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
All right, Pam Burgess, the coach of California, after tonight's loss, but victories in some senses to UCLA in gymnastics. As the folks filter out of Harmon Gym, the band, as always, gives us a cue that it's just about time to hit the road and move on down the way. So UCLA finishes with over 192 points, and California with a school record 191.45. UCLA number 12 in the country and California number 18, and hope they're moving up. That's it for our gymnastics presentation today on Sports Channel. Some of the folks who made it happen, our coordinating producer and director, Jim Reisinger. Today's show was produced by Rick Reed, the associate producer, Chris Duffy, and our associate director, Amy Smolens. And thanks again to all the rest of the crew here in Berkeley for another fine performance. For Tracy Talavera, I'm John Schrader saying so long from Berkeley and Harmon Gym on the campus of the University of California, and we'll see you next time.